TK has gone quickest now by a fraction of a second in the Ferrari. Currently, the championship contenders, TK, Ice Kid Man, and Hercules, are 1, 2, and 3. But Hummersep, who is the fourth man in this fight, he 11 as it stands. And look at the traffic ahead of him. Hercules across the line, and it is pole for the Racing Point. But Ice Kid Man has invalidated as well. Hercules on pole. And as we've seen over the weekend, Bahrain has tended to produce less chaotic races. It's lights out, and away we go. Making the dive bomb into the first corner. Perhaps there's a incident there. One of the Haas way too late on the brakes, and it is absolute disaster.
Major damage. Ianna's been spun off as well. There is chaos here.
Nordy is round in turn 4. He's got up in the second position. Williams right in the slipstream of the Racing Point, and pulling to the inside now is to go into turn 1. Ice Kid Man takes the lead. It is all happening once again in Division 5. Hercules is struggling so badly on those hard tyres because round the outside goes Roy Weller. What a move from the McLaren. Ice Kid Man the winner from Nordy in second place. And those two, the class of the field today. Good evening, everybody. Welcome along to round 7 of the FRS Division 5 season. We are here in Spielberg, Austria, for what should be another very, very fun and perhaps chaotic race. I'm Harringzord, as always, and I'm joined by McNugget for another week of whatever is going to happen here.
Hello, this is round 7 of what would appear to be wacky races of Division 5. We will see who will be the Dick Dastardly and who will be the Muttley of the week.
Well, I mean, very succinctly put. What an interesting season this has been. And last time out in Bahrain, we thought it was going to be nice and quiet because it was a wide track, and it just wasn't, was it? It just wasn't.
You're indeed right there, Harringzord. After you saying, we won't see the damage or the chaos like we saw in Mexico, you just had to curse it. And, I mean, it was amazing to watch.
This track is a little bit different. There's only 10 corners here, but there are plenty of opportunities to make a mistake and fall foul of the track limits. The Drivers' Championship in Division 5 looks a little bit like this. There we go. So King Bar technically still leads the way, but that will change. The fight to watch is between T-Keg and Ice Kid Man, separated by just 1 point. A further 12 back to Hercules, and then another 5 back to Hummersep. Who do you think is looking favourite at this stage?
Oh, it's tough to say. Hercules has really shown a lot of pace when not on hard tyres. So I would say Hercules is definitely going to be up there. Ice Kid Man, we know, is very fast as well. T-Keg, a phenomenal qualifier. When it comes to Hummersep and Mahoney in the Mercedes, they've improved over the last few races. Not necessarily in qualifying, but on the track, getting the job done. So it could be anyone. I mean, turn 1 to turn 3, anything can happen.
Indeed, yeah. There are plenty of guys around about a similar pace at the front, so it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top here at the Red Bull Ring. The Constructors' Championship is a bit of a close run thing as well. Racing Point out in the lead. Ferrari, the more consistent scorers. Behind them, Mercedes have had better peaks. They've had occasional better results, but also occasional off weekends as well.
I believe we coined the phrase erratic efficiency last week for the Mercedes pairing of the German Hummersep and the erratic American Mahoney.
Yes, quite. So it remains to be seen whether that form continues. McLaren are improving, and they're up into 4th place now. And of course, Renault going the other way, having lost King Bart in the early part of the season. And Dan Gilligan still struggling to get consistent results on the board. We are not too far away at all from qualifying for this one. It's a short lap around here. It's going to be very, very fine margins. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
I think for the historic consistency that Hummersep shows, not getting penalties, keeping it on the track, I think Hummersep can do very well. We know other drivers are very fast, like Hercules and Ice Kid Man, but they do have a tendency to pick up penalties. And on a track like this, where there's a lot of opportunity to pick up those penalties, it could cost them big time.
It should be very, very close. We saw, didn't we, in the early part of the session in Bahrain, less than a tenth of a second. I'm trying to say separating the guys at the top. And if it's that close again round here, we should be in for a very exciting qualifying session indeed. Fingers crossed it will be. There are rumours that there is rain in the air, perhaps towards the end of that session. So it might sort of scupper the plans a little bit and mean that people need to get out onto the track a little bit quicker. We will soon see how it goes.
Indeed. Apparently, I'm also being heard in-game by the drivers, so I will go and try and get that fixed as quickly as possible.
Oh, as in they can hear you talking?
That's yes, weird. Which I'm not sure how to fix. So if anybody in the chat knows how to fix that, good thing I wasn't slagging them all off whilst they could hear me. Roy Weller, I curse you.
In the meantime, here is a look around the Red Bull Ring, the A1 Ring as it used to be called here in Austria. And just the 10 corners, quite a lot of straight line action, 3 DRS zones here we can see, and plenty of overtaking opportunities as well as we make our way around this lap. The cars are almost ready to get underway in this qualifying session, and here we are in the pit lane ready to go, and it's cloudy, it's overcast, and we will see if the rain that is rumoured does arrive at any point in this session.
Yes.
So Ice Kid Man in the Williams, the first car out onto the circuit in this session. And of course we've seen good pace from Ice Kid Man generally in all of these races so far this season. A couple of DNFs in round 3 and round 4 stopped his charge towards the championship a little bit, but it's certainly outright pace in qualifying. Okay, I mean, if there's one thing these drivers could do without, it is the sound of McNugget in their ears as they go around the circuit.
Right, are you hearing me, Harringzord?
I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Good stuff, I think that is fixed. So, yeah, we just started qualification. I see a couple of minutes in. Do we have anybody, quite a lot of cars on the outlap already? Do we have any idea of the weather?
So it's overcast, it's cloudy. We remain to see what happens. Ice Kid Man has picked up 2 pole positions this season. It's 2 for Ice Kid Man. It's 2 for Renault in what is de facto the same car. And it's 2 for the Racing Point team as well, with Hercules taking pole in Bahrain last time out. Ice Kid Man just making his way up towards turn 3 there. This is the sort of the top of the hill, the highest point on the circuit here in the Styrian Hills of Austria. And then you make your way back down the hill into another heavy braking zone for turn 4. The middle part of the track is a lot more fast-paced, some fast sweeping corners all the way to the left. And then the final 2 corners of the lap that we'll see just as Ice Kid Man comes out here. Very, very easy to make a mess of the track limits. There's a little bit of traffic ahead of us on the road that we can see. Hopefully that doesn't cause too much in the way of issues. There's one of the Hassers in the way, and it just about got out of the way, didn't it? Ice Kid Man now making his way through the final corner to set the first timed lap of this session. And it's
somebody is... Oh, Roy Weller has spun off just on turn 1 and having a bit of difficulty getting the car round with this train of cars coming up and round. So we hope he gets out there safe.
The McLarens have been one of the more closely matched pairs in qualifying trim this season. It's 3 apiece between Roy Weller and Nordy. And on average, it's about a 10.5 in Roy Weller's favour. But of course, he's on the back foot now. Look at that again. There's only 2 hundredths of a second at the front between T-Keg and Ice Kid Man for the top 2 positions already. So close. Hummersep has gone 3rd quickest from Mahoney in 4th. Nordy, Van Ambase and Dan Gilligan coming across the line. And we've got the AlphaTauris. Cookie looking like he's going at the pits, but we can take a look at Jock James coming out of the final corner now to set what we think is his first representative lap of this session. It's a 105.0.
Indeed, and Roywell is struggling again coming round, so hopefully he'll no doubt be going into the pits to get that fixed and get out and put a time. We have a yellow flag in sector 2, which again, it looks like Roy Weller just really struggling on this first qualifying lap.
Yeah, Roy Weller has invalidated, keeping out of the way, but I think most cars are making their way back into the pit lane at this stage of the session. We've got Karner on an out lap in the Renault, just in the middle part of the circuit now. But other than that, I think most cars just returning to the pit lane. We've got Iana 5, in the Alfa Romeo, just beginning a quick lap for the first time and running a little bit wide at turn 1, but looks like we didn't invalidate. Iana 5 now the sole Alfa Romeo in Division 5 after Dave Kay was moved to Division 7 at the end of the Bahrain race. So, extra points available, of course, if you're a sole runner in the field. We'll see if Iana can continue where they left off in Bahrain and get more points on the board. Got their first points of the season last time out in the desert.
Indeed. Now, seeing the first kind of half of the cars out here setting their laps, do we expect sub 1.3 or do we expect it to be around 1.4? What are we thinking pace-wise?
I think we'll see some cars into the 103s. I think as well, as I think Iana's abandoned this lap, indeed. So we can have a look at Karner instead, who has also abandoned the lap because it has been invalidated. So there you go. What can you do? Yeah, I would expect to see drivers into the 103s. I made a very, very bold claim that we would see pole position be a 103.1 around here, which looks like it is an extremely bold claim. We do have a driver making a debut in this race, and that is Dukes for Red Bull. Third different driver in this Red Bull car this season. But making his FRS Division 5 debut this weekend is Dukes, so welcome along to Dukes.
Indeed, welcome to the chaos that is Division 5. We hope you'll fit right in and contribute thoroughly.
Well, we just see him take a trip through the gravel trap, but it was just to keep out the way of the cars behind. Ice Kid Man just beginning another lap in the Williams. We can go on board as he comes out of turn 1. DRS will be wide open. There's 3 DRS zones on this Spielberg circuit. This is one of them. Up the hill, keep to the left-hand side and hard on the brakes for turn 3. Turn 2 is the left kink just before that. It doesn't really count as a corner. Ice Kid Man now back down the hill towards turn 4. He's got a couple of hundredths of a second to make up if he wants to overtake TK, but these two setting the pace at this point of the session. And Ice Kid Man now coming down towards what is turn 6. Turn 5 with the fast right-hand sweep there. Turn 7 is again another long left-hander all the way through. Lost the back end a little bit there as we come through 8. And then it is how much commitment have you got through the double right of 9 and 10. Down a gear and avoid the track limit penalties on the exit. Don't want to invalidate. That looks clean as well. Ice Kid Man out of the final corner and it's a 103.5.
Now, just as you say that, if you're looking inboard with a few of these drivers, the rain is starting to come down.
It is raining already, so you've got to get on with it now. Essentially, the last part of this session will be a complete dead rubber. We won't see any cars on the track. If the rain's coming down now, the grip is going to get less and less and less. So that lap from Ice Kid Man, perfectly timed, and Cookie has popped himself up to P3 in the AlphaTauri.
Indeed, some big names not out. Roy Weller and Hercules, have not got. Well, Hercules apparently has set a time, just as the rain was there. And Roy Weller not out, Iana not out. Are they all going to miss out on this prime time really to get the quick lap set before the rain does really get going on?
TK has invalidated that lap. Nordy goes up into second place for McLaren. Look at that. Excellent lap. Oktoberfoff improving to P9. And one of the Hassers, I think Daft failed to improve that time around. We're looking at Roy Weller at the moment in the McLaren. Currently in 16th place without a time set. Coming at the final 2 corners now is Weller. And out of turn 10. Hard on the power as quickly as you dare. And across the line, it's not amazingly quick. It's a 106.2 and it's P15 only. Duke's coming across the line, I think, just behind. No, Duke's has returned to the pit lane. It was Evil Steel on the road just behind. And in fact, Hercules had a little bit of traffic there and has had to invalidate that lap. One of the Mercs not really getting out the way as he came into turn 9. Hercules compromised there. Ice Kid Man from Nordy, T-Keg and Cookie are your top 4. And of course, with the rain beginning to threaten, there is not a lot of time to find improvement.
Normally we like to have our little game of who do you think is going to finish on pole. However, with the rain coming down, I suspect I know who you're going to nominate.
Well, Arif has gone P5. Look at that in the Haas. Arif going up into 5th position. Duke's coming out onto the circuit to try and set any sort of representative time. But there's a lot of drivers struggling here. We've got Hummersep just about to begin a quick lap. Dukes has now left the session. Hopefully that's not a connection issue. But Hummersep coming into turn 1. We'll see if it's possible for any of these guys to improve. We'll go on board and see if we can spot any rain coming down. It seems like it's just about holding off for now.
Arif is 1/10 down on his current time, which would be making him sniff about 2nd or 3rd place if he keeps this up. Who's just ahead of Hummersep on this fast lap.
Yeah,
he hasn't validated it.
Here comes Hummersep now down into turn 4 for Mercedes. Opportunity for us to have a look. The comparison between Mahoney and Hummersep is so close. Mahoney's 4-2 up, but the average delta between them, 0.008 of a second across the 6 races. And you can see spots of rain now on the lens, which won't be doing Hummersep any favours at all, and he's going to abort this lap and head to the pit lane. I don't think anybody is in position to improve. Van on base on an outlap, but there's just no pace on this Red Bull Ring circuit.
Oh, and it's looking a very strong Canuri, very strong time put in there by Canuri. Not a driver we see often in the top echelons of the qualifying. Normally a good solid top 10 qualifier, showing a lot of pace here.
Indeed, well, we can take a look at the best qualifiers of the season, and that was not good at all from Van Onbesi there. Would have lost a lot of time just struggling for grip in the traction zone. Ice Kid Man and T-Keg and Cookie, really the class of the division in terms of qualifying. Cookie especially has very much struggled to convert those good qualifying performances into solid race pace. Lots of incidents and front wings being taken off. Van Onbesi there and validating the lap. I don't think we're going to see anybody improve. There's no grip out there.
But Ice Kid Man out again, which is an unusual sight to see. I didn't think they would risk going out again with a time like that this early.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's real F1 and if you bin the car, you're actually doing any damage. Your car will be perfectly fine for the race. So I guess it's worth a go. But you can see the rain coming down now, and these guys are just going to be struggling to find traction. And I would predict that the session will finish looking very much like this.
Well, indeed, which if the rain transpires
Cookie. Cookie's improved to P2, front row for Cookie in the AlphaTauri.
There must be some pace still on this track then out there. We'll see if anybody else can get out and steal some. But I must say, it'll be interesting if this rain does transpire onto the actual race, Harringzord. You know, that big turn 1 could prove a lot of issues.
Oh, Hercules improves to P5, and that could be big. That clears a few cars who are generally in the midfield. And Hercules needs to get himself up towards the front if he wants to stay in this championship fight in the Racing Point. Good lap there. Under tricky conditions and a lot of pressure was Hercules there. It's a very, very good lap to go P5.
And we've got October 4th out on medium tyres. Also seeing if they can get a bit of an improvement on 11th with them.
Here's Dukes out the final corner. The first lap for Dukes goes P17 ahead of Roy Weller. So at the moment, not at the back. Roy Weller still with a chance to improve. And in fact, just behind on the circuit. And Roy Weller does improve and takes that position back away from Dukes. It was brief. It was fleeting. But unfortunately, the debutant back to the back of the grid at this point of the session. Less than 5 minutes to go.
We rode Arif here 100th down on his time, but it's still a quick one if he can steal a bit extra space to get ahead of Hercules or T-Keg. But there are cars going at the pit lane, almost a bit of contact there. We'll see if it affects his time coming over the start-finish line now.
October 4th, aborting that one. No time to be found. Dan Gilligan on the circuit. He looks like he has maybe just set a time. He was shown half a second up there, and he's clearly aborted this one, not going very quickly at all in that Renault. Just behind him on the circuit is Evil Steel, attempting to improve on P15.
Roy Weller 1.2 down, taking it back into the pits. Roy Weller not having the best of qualifications here. Let's just hope he does remember to put enough fuel into the car when it comes to the race this weekend, though.
Yeah, that incident at the end in Bahrain. Running out of fuel just before the line. Of course, that'll just be a case of running in rich fuel mode for a little bit too long and paying the penalty for that on the last lap of the race. No improvement so far from Evil Steel. There's only a couple of tenths off, so we could maybe find that in the last couple of corners if we are super committed. Let's see if he is. Seemed okay. Didn't seem amazingly fast. It is not an improvement in the end for Evil Steel in that Red Bull, and it is looking very, very rosy for Ice Kid Man.
Indeed, and a big performance as well from Cookie in that AlphaTauri. We know that him and Jock James have both struggled to convert these qualifications onto points. Jock, very well known as the most penalised car in Division 5, except always getting them removed.
Here's Daft on a lap in the hat. Do the second last corner. He had found a little bit of time, had Daft. Hopefully he can keep that going through the final sector of the lap, out the final corner and across the line, and does not improve. Lost time in the final part of that one. We've got a Ferrari returning to the pits, as is one of the Mercedes drivers. I think the rain, it's still coming down, isn't it? And the car's now beginning to retire, realising that there's nothing left to find here. It is looking very, very good for Ice Kid Man, taking his third pole of the season here.
The thing is, it is interesting. From 11th now down to 4th, there's very little in it. So if they could just find that bit of pace, there's big positions to be gained.
Here comes Carnot, having another go in that Renault. This, I think, would be a best qualifying of the season for Carnot. Currently P8. Homercep's now retired from the session as well. And this is guys just realising that there's nothing left to find here. Carnot down the back straight, hoping to prove them wrong. He's down a tenth and a half in the first sector. But it was super dramatic at the end of qualifying last week. I would suggest it's not really going to be the same scenario here in Austria. The rain scuppering our plans for entertainment.
We'll see if it doesn't deliver more on race day, though. Do still have a few drivers out there trying to set better times. We've got Canurdi, T-Keg, Hercules looks like they're on a fast lap trying to make something happen.
Kind of still in the ball game here, only a tenth down on their previous best. Again, if we can see, nope, going to abort that one by the looks of things. So, the old Zord curse strikes again. Roy Weller on an outlap, as is Dukes. These guys at the back, they sort of might as well have one more go, and you can see Roy Weller weaving around, trying to get as much life into those tyres as he possibly can, as much heat as he dare, so that he's got as much grip as possible coming on to his final attempt. And Duke's doing the same thing, just trying to see how much time he can find. He's at the back, there's no reason to not have a go.
Exactly. Canurdi here, purple in sector 1, so is on a very fast pace here. If he could find a few tenths, could jump him into the front row very easily here.
Oh, he's invalidated just as I looked at him. T-Keg just ahead on the circuit on an outlap and about to begin a flying lap. He just made it over the line, didn't he? Before the end of the session there. Duke still going. He's found a tenth and a half in the first sector, so that's looking promising for the Red Bull driver on his debut here in FRS Division 5. Chance to see how he does when the pressure's on.
Yeah. Almost 2 tenths down Dukes on his time, 2 tenths faster, so if he keeps this up, it would throw him up a couple of positions.
Very committed there through the second to last corner and out of turn 10. This looking like it might be an improvement for Dukes, which would be excellent to see. The Red Bull comes across the line, and that is 16th place. Very, very well done for Dukes on debut there. In tricky conditions, Roy Weller improves to P14. So every time Dukes goes faster, Roy Weller spoils the party. Meanwhile, T-Keg is faster, but only just.
T-Keg needing about a tenth I was second out of this in order to jump Canary into third, so we'll see if you could find it on the last couple of corners.
Iona 5 improves and pops Dukes back to 18th place. TK does not improve, and that will be the end of this qualifying session here at the Red Bull Ring. Ice Kid Man takes his third pole position of the season here in PC Division 5, and by quite a margin as well, though it has to be said, the rain certainly did him a favour.
Indeed, indeed. That was well-timed qualification from the top group just before that rain comes down.
We are expecting a raid from the Division 3 race.
Elliot and the crew are going to be rocking up, so we'll need to watch out for them.
So Dice Kid Man on pole from Cookie and Nordy. The usual suspects qualifying towards the top of this Division 5 field again.
We'll be interested to see if the rain is going to carry on for the actual race to give them all a free, obviously, choice to get on the wets, but we'll see what happens. Obviously, cars will be set up. Interestingly, if some went to set up for the dry weather or the wet weather during qualification as well, which they can't now change.
Yeah, Ice Kid Man on pole from Cookie, Nordy, and TK. Hercules in 5th place, Arif 6th, Hummersep, Karna, Mahoney, and Jock James making up the rest of the top 10. They'll have to start on the soft tyres. The guys behind will have free tyre choice as we go into this 36th lap Austrian Grand Prix. And I'm very, very excited to see how this one goes. Not quite the entertainment that we've normally seen in these qualifying sessions, but it remains to be seen. We'll just take a moment as the guys load into the race to have a look again around the circuit. It's cloudy, I can tell you that much. It's overcast, and it is very, very much looking like there is a significant threat of rain in the air in Division 5. And unfortunately for me and Nugget, we've not yet seen any wet weather action at all. Not even at a wet qualifying session before that one.
We did. We had a Division 6, of course, had a bit of a wet qualification, followed by a few drops of rain in the last few corners, but nothing substantial. We'll see what the weather brings tonight on the last roundup of this week's action.
Yeah, the view that you can see on the screen at the moment is what I took in photo mode, and that is not what it looks like on the circuit. Be prepared for it to get an awful lot darker when we return to in-game. I'm going to ask you to predict the winner of this race, Nugget.
Consistency, no penalties being the key here. Hummersep for me. Canurdi and Jock James would be my top three, because Jock James has to deliver and not let me down for the 7th week in a row.
Here comes the raid from Elliot with a party of 9. But I think
Thank you very much, Elliot and Raiders.
Yeah, I think a lot of that audience were already here, had maybe already made the switch over. Your previous winners, Ice Kid Man won for the first time, last time out in Bahrain. But Hummersep having a much better qualifying as well in the top 7.
Yep.
Of course, the question is, can Division 5 keep it clean on that first lap of this race?
Indeed. Now, before we get set up for the formation lap, Harringzord, give me a top 3 prediction from yourself.
Top 3? Wow. Great question. Right. I think Nordy is in excellent form at the moment. Has really, really improved leaps and bounds as we've gone through this season. I'm going to put Nordy on the podium. I'm going to put TK on the podium. And I'm going to put Ice Kid Man on the podium, but I'm not going to give you an order. Look out for these drivers on lap 1 of the race. These are the total positions gained on the first lap. Evil Steel, 23 across the course of the season. Jock James, a fast starter as well, has gained 15 in total. Daft, Hercules, and Hummersep normally finding that they go forward as well as we head into a race situation. We are just beginning to line up on the grid now.
Just for hey there, everybody is on soft apart from Dan Gilligan and October 4th and 11th and 12th who are on mediums, and Evil Steel and Iana in 16th and 17th both on mediums. The rest of the field have went soft, and the weatherman tells me no rain suspected in the forecast.
No rain expected, but it does look cloudy, so we'll see what happens here in Austria. Of course, mountainous region, the weather can change in a heartbeat. But all the cars have now lined up on the grid, and we we are ready to get this Austrian Grand Prix in PC Division 5 underway. It's lights out and away we go. Ice Kid Man leads away well from Cookie. It's a poor start for the AlphaTauri, and the Williams has a clear advantage as they go into turn 1. Little bit of action towards the back. The two Mercedes getting very close together, but as we come out of turn 1, Ice Kid Man leads from Cookie 3 wide there. A big incident in the middle. Homicep out of this race before it began, and that will be a safety car straight away. It was a Reef and Homicep coming together. You can see wing damage on the Haas, and unfortunately Homicep out of this race before we even made it to turn 3. What a disastrous start.
Definitely big action there. Dukes unfortunately picking up a 5-second penalty for ignoring a yellow flag. There's going to be a full safety car. Big gains made by Evil Steel on the mediums and Dan Gilligan. Ice Kid Man, Key and Canudi and TK top 5 staying as they were. Mahoney has made an improvement at the expense of his teammate. So it will be interesting to see what happens following this safety car.
We just caught a glimpse of the incident, and they were 3 wide, weren't they, coming up the hill? It looked like one of those where Homicep sort of had nowhere to go. A Reef was actually on the grass, and the unfortunate situation was that nobody lifted off, and the accident felt inevitable once the cars were in that position. We'll see if anyone takes to the pit lane. Obviously, a Reef will for a change of wing.
We have a AlphaTauri going to the pit of Jock James.
So is that the wing change? Is this Jock James going to the hard tyres and trying to run for the entire length of the race here? It is.
I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Yep, the hard tyres are coming out, but there looks to be nose damage.
Oh, no, he's not. He's serving a penalty. He picked up a penalty somewhere, Jock James, and he's doing what is actually a fairly smart decision here. To go to the hard tyres, serve that penalty now. He'll catch up to the back of the pack anyway, and the idea for the AlphaTauri will be to run this all the way to the end of the race and not stop again. An interesting strategic gamble from Jock James.
Indeed. We will see. It will probably take a lap or two for these cars to all catch up and get set behind the safety car. So Division 5 again delivering us action on the first lap of the race.
Roy Weller pitted as well for McLaren. Went to the medium tyres, so obviously not confident that he can go. You're not going to take the mediums the whole race distance, so we'll presumably be planning to stop again at some point. The top 5 all remained status quo. Yep. So nice and clean up at the front. Looks like the safety car... No, the green light was on there, but the safety car not peeling into the pits this lap. The green light normally meaning that, so we'll go around again. And Ice Kid Man has the lead of this race from Cookie, Nordy and TK. So all of the big hitters still in the fight. And for Homicep, since his win in Baku, it really has gone all the way south for him, hasn't it?
It has indeed. As a point on this, Ice Kid Man will have the responsibility to slow this pack right down. I believe the safety car has an issue where it is a very early intake from the safety car, so you do need to give it a lot of space. And Ice Kid Man, the one responsible for slowing this pack down enough for that. So it will be interesting to see if they get it right, if they avoid any Codemasters issues in doing so as well.
So as you mentioned, one of the big winners at the start, this man, Dan Gilligan, managing to make up 4 places there from his grid position. Daft and Evil Steel once again making up 6 places off the grid. I know it's the old Lance Stroll syndrome where if you qualify further down, it's easier to make up positions because you can't lose them. But regardless, another excellent start to the race from Evil Steel. Safety car in this lap.
It will be worth getting a bit of a view on these guys just to see what happens with this safety car.
As the Ice Kid Man slowing the pack right down. On board with Cookie right now. We wait for the Williams to go, giving the safety car plenty of space. And Ice Kid Man has now gone quite early. I don't think Cookie was expecting that one. And the Williams has got the jump here. Nordy seems to have made a poor getaway as well. But as we restart this race, Ice Kid Man leads the Austrian Grand Prix from Cookie, Nordy and TK. Mahoney under pressure from Dan Gilligan. Very, very slow restart for Mahoney there in the Mercedes. And Dan Gilligan right on his tail. Oh, and Dan Gilligan making a mistake. And he's lost the car. Well,
can he recover?
Keeps it out of the wall, but after making such a good start all the way to the back, Hercules now right up behind T-Keg as they go up the hill, and we've got Oktoberfoth going side by side with the newcomer Dukes, and contact there, and Dukes spun around. That looked like maybe not enough room left on the apex of that corner. Dukes now facing the wrong way, and you can see spinning around again in the background. Oktoberfoth now losing out to Roy Weller, and Cookie's made a mistake. Cookie's dropped back and he's lost his front wing once again. All gone wrong for the AlphaTauri driver, who's dropping down the field. And it's now Nordy in second, T-Keg in third, and Cookie will have to stop and drop all the way to the back of the field once again. It just never goes right for AlphaTauri.
Indeed, indeed. It is the curse of an AlphaTauri driver to qualify very fast and have an issue on the track. The one good thing for Cookie, he might be able to get on those hard tyres like his teammate. If there's another safety car, they might be able to still recover this race and get in the points.
Evil Steel looking to the inside of turn one, makes a mistake and runs wide, and that'll give Van Back the honours round. The honours in the wall. It's all gone wrong for the Alfa Romeo, and that's another mistake. Lots of mistakes early on. Just about a safe rejoin. It'll be a scary moment for Jock James there, who's actually alongside Arif as we come up the hill. Roy Weller just ahead of this pair. And of course, Jock James, we think, looking to go to the end of this race on those hard tyres, having stopped under the safety car. But look at the lead that Ice Kid Man has out at the front. 3.8 seconds already. And Nordy very much holding up T-Keg and Hercules behind.
Indeed. Ice Kid Man, somebody we know has always been a very fast driver in this division. We will see if they can hold the consistency again and go for another race win, which would be, I believe, the first back-to-back race win since King Bart in the early stages of the FRS series. But T-Keg is going to start getting DRS, so we'll see how Canudi does holding them off.
T-Keg up the hill. DRS is enabled. Of course, ERS was already there. And T-Keg now looking to get a run against the essentially defenceless Nordy at this stage. Doesn't have DRS, but does appear to have enough of a gap. Of course, there's another DRS zone to negotiate as we go down the next straight. Iano with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. And we can see the Ferrari sizing up his prey. T-Keg now making a move. He's got such an overspeed here. And T-Keg goes to the inside and is up into second position. Very clean move. And the Ferrari will now set about trying to make up the 4 seconds. In fact, Nordy fighting back around the outside. But I think we'll have to give that one up.
And just whilst that was all going on, Kana had picked up a 3-second penalty for, I believe, just a bit of corner cutting after multiple warnings. So hopefully they'll be able to just learn from that a bit and just adjust slightly to avoid any more. So
Homosep is out. Yana has been into the pits after making a mistake. Cookie has been into the pits after making a mistake. The one man who's not made any mistake at all is this man. Ice Kid Man leads the Austrian Grand Prix by 4 seconds from his championship rival T-Keg.
Roy Weller having big issues here, dropping right down, looking very slow. I'm trying to see if there is any wing damage. It does look like the front right wing has been taken off, so I'm not sure what's caused that. But big damage to that front right wing, causing Roy Weller to have to come into the pits again.
Hercules right up behind Nordy now. They've both got DRS. These three very, very close together, but all falling behind from Ice Kid Man out at the front. It's a dominant display from the Williams driver at this point. T-Keg in second place, not really able to make an impression. And of course, all of these guys are on the same tyre strategy. So we have to do it on the track. We can't try and do it in the pit lane.
Indeed. And Hercules, of course, just locking behind Canudi and T-Keg, looking to take any advantages he can. We know Hercules likes to be on the soft and mediums, which he's here at the moment. So we'll see what they can do to grab a few extra positions.
Here's Kana currently running in P6 for Renault. Does have a time penalty against his name, but sizing up Mahoney ahead. Mahoney very quietly going about having a strong race again in that Mercedes, just keeping it clean. But we've got a big fight up ahead as we come out of turn one and up the hill. These three looking like they're settling in for a fight all race along.
Yeah, Mahoney, one of those rare things, a quiet American. You've got to love them when you find them.
Gap at the front, 4.4 seconds. And the problem that Hercules has got here is that T-Keg hasn't managed to gain a second on Nordy, which means that the McLaren still has DRS as he comes down all of these straights, and it makes it much, much harder for Hercules to get a pass done.
The car's just now settling into a bit of a rhythm, just all finding their spaces, not too much, but a lot of cars still within 1 second of each other to make some possible moves.
Ice Kid Man currently third on the list of laps led this season in Division 5, but that is obviously changing every time he goes around this circuit because he has a 4.2 second lead and is currently cruising very, very nicely indeed. It is, however, all kicking off behind him as Nordy has managed to make a gap to Hercules behind and is back in the DRS again of TK as they come up the hill. Looks like a mistake for Hercules there somewhere in the middle part of the lap.
Oh, Canurdi's off! Canurdi's off! He looked like he just cooked the acceleration too much and spun it out into the wall.
Disaster for the McLaren, facing the wrong way, and it'll be a while before there's a gap in the traffic. A mistake from Oktoberfoth there as well. But Nordy with front wing damage and is going to have to crawl back to the pit lane. Another car in a strong position makes a mistake here at the Red Bull Ring.
Indeed, and it's not what you like to see. Canardi doing so well in qualification. It did look just a simple case of the grip going on the tyres or perhaps an over-acceleration without the traction control assist that just spun them round at a very inopportune moment there.
It promotes Mahoney to P4, Karn to P5, and we're now looking at the fight for 8th position between Evil Steel and Arif. Arif, a master of finishing between 8th and 10th. Evil Steel, without a point to his name yet this season. And on the Contra strategy, Evil Steel actually the lead car of those on the medium tyres, and Arif there making a mistake at turn 1, possibly outbraking himself and having to take to the runoff area. Has lost a bit of time.
Kana making a move on Mahoney, goes on the outside and makes it stick. Mahoney dropping down to 5th, but Kana does have that 3-second penalty. So Mahoney perhaps thinking it wasn't worth a fight at that stage.
Kana running very strongly in 4th place. I really, really, really hope that isn't a curse. Come on, Kana. We can have a strong race today.
Do you know what that means, folks? Just expect to see Kana going off any second now thanks to Harringzord.
Fight for 8th place continues. Oktoberfoth getting involved now. Arif has sort of cruised straight back up to the back of Evil Steel. We've got the Red Bull, Oktoberfoth just behind. Dan Gilligan now on the mediums. And Jock James, of course, we think running the hard tyres all the way to the end of this Austrian Grand Prix. A little bit further up the road, Van on Base now getting involved with Karner and Mahoney.
Indeed, Van on Base, a bit of a sneaky driver in the sense that we didn't see them do that great in qualification, but has made their way up the pack very well to be in the opportunity for some good points. But Mahoney looking on the same move on Karner, looking to go around the outside of them, going into turn 3.
Very late on the brakes. Was a little too deep on the brakes. Was there contact there? It was hard to see from the angle. But Karner currently holding the place, and Karner now has DRS as they go down towards turn 4 because Mahoney was ahead at the previous detection zone. This one will continue as we go around this lap. TK has pegged the gap at the front. And Arif, I think, has possibly had a moment because Arif has dropped back to P12.
It does look a big drop off there for Arif, unfortunately. Chat saying that you better not dare jinx Kana. Now, in no possible way will Kana ever be jinxed by us, chat. So, Asteria, so don't you worry, we would never jinx Kana.
So Mahoney is losing a lot of time to the Renault. There's no wing damage on the Merc, but Van on Base is now involved just behind them with DRS as they go up the hill to start lap 12 here. The laps will go by thick and fast around this circuit, and both drivers running a little bit wide there, but this giving the momentum to Van on Base as we come up the hill. On board with the Ferrari now. To the inside, thought better of it. 3-second penalty for Jock James for multiple warnings.
Indeed. Van on Base just having a look, then hit the brakes quite heavily to avoid a bit of contact there on Mahoney's Mercedes.
Oh, and a dive to the inside now. That was a little bit of a half-hearted one. Not really sure that move was on particularly, but Well, fortunately, no contact
It
made.
was a bit
Meanwhile,
torpedo-ish, but well avoided from Van on base to make any contact.
Dan Gilligan to the inside of Jock James and moving back up into the points. Neither of these drivers are... Well, Dan Gilligan does have to stop again. We don't think Jock James is planning to stop again. But that Alpha Tauri is losing a lot of time.
Kana into the pits.
Yeah, he's losing a lot of time compared to the cars ahead. And Kana, with what is a fairly early stop, this might have to be the hard tyres here for the Renault. Because it'll be difficult to make the mediums go so long. It is going to be, the camera cut away, it's going to be the hard tyres indeed for the Renault as his teammate Dan Gilligan picks up a track limits penalty.
Yeah. A bit more stretching of the field at the moment. Ice Kid Man stretching that gap to just over 4 seconds to T-Keg. Mahoney, the only one really within a second, on top of October 4th also on Evil Steel. So less cars within that DRS range, you know, just waiting to see what's going to happen with the upcoming pit stops from soft to mediums or soft to hards.
Van on base has cleared. He has cleared Mahoney at some point. I think we missed that move while we were watching the pit stop. The fight continues here between Jock James and Dan Gilligan. Jock a little late on the brakes there down at turn 4, running wide, and that'll give a Reef a chance on the soft tyres. Jock James trying to squeeze him out as they go into turn 6. A Reef around the outside. That move on old tyres not really on.
Ice Kid Man into the pits, which means T-Keg has temporarily taken over first position.
Hard tyres for the Williams. He's playing it safe. Just behind him, Mahoney into the pits as well for Mercedes. We will see. I'm trying to find the Merc. He's gone to the hard tyres as well by the looks of things. Yes, indeed. Hard tyres on that Mercedes. And the fight continues there between a Reef and Jock James as we go into turn 1. T-Keg the leader, Hercules second, Van on base third, and Ferrari, amongst all the teams in this division, certainly the most consistent in terms of picking up points in every single race. Them and Racing Point really are picking up points at every event. T-Keg now coming into the pit lane, and we will see what tyres the Ferrari opt to go for. Might need to go on a contra strategy here to try and catch up the deficit to the leader, Ice Kid Man.
And Jock James making a nice pass on a Reef through turn 7 and 8 there, just making sure it was nice and clean, avoiding any penalties.
TK goes to the hard tyres. Well, opting to go the same route as the Williams, who you can see come past now on the main straight. Of course, the undercut will mean that Ice Kid Man has gained even more time here. And perhaps TK just settling for P2 in this race. The fight he's going to come out with just ahead of him is Oktoberfoth and Evil Steel. And TK does not want to be stuck behind these guys. Arif has retired. Arif is out of the race at turn 1. And it looks like he's lost the back of the car somewhere. Turn 1. He's in the wall at turn 1. There's a yellow flag. But it doesn't appear that we're going to see a safety car. Here's Ice Kid Man on the inside of Van on base. And he makes that move stick.
Just sheer pace there from Ice Kid Man, getting them past the Ferrari on hard tyres as well. Fresh hard tyres, showing phenomenal pace there.
Oktoberfoth has passed both of these cars. So Evil Steel now behind the Racing Point. I'm not sure what happened there. We missed that one as we're looking at a Reef's incident. But TK does need to clear these guys on the old medium tyres as quickly as he possibly can. In the pits, Hercules. Medium tyres, going the alternative route. Just behind Van on base as well in the pits. Also going to the medium tyre on that Ferrari. So Hercules going the more aggressive route with the mediums. We'll see if he can gain any time on these guys up ahead. TK losing out so much here, stuck behind Oktoberfoth and Evil Steel.
Indeed. Big time being lost here by TK. Ice Kid Man back out in front and just going to look to strengthen that lead even further.
TK not able to get it done as we go down the hill, so we'll have to spend more time behind that Red Bull, which is not what he wants. This is all playing into the hands of Ice Kid Man. Mahoney and Jock James close together. on the circuit. Of course, Mahoney on much fresher tyres. I'm not convinced if Jock James is planning to go at the end of the race on those hards that it's going to work out. He may need to pit for softs at the end of this one because he's really lacking pace.
Yeah, it will be interesting. Perhaps hoping for an unexpected safety car with a couple of cars being crashing out and that. If he gets another safety car at an ideal moment, Jock James really can make a big advantage of that.
Evil Steel, really robust defence there, not leaving TK a car's width on that side of the circuit. The Ferrari having to lift off and get out on it, and look at the gap that Ice Kid Man is now able to generate at the front. He is 7.6 seconds clear. TK is going to have to get this done. But I just think he's treating the back of that Red Bull like the hind legs of a donkey. He's not keen to get too close to it for fear of giving up what is looking like a clear second place. But all this is allowing Hercules to gain time.
Indeed, as well. TK possibly looking from a bit of experience, you know. Just want to make sure that if he's going to overtake this Red Bull, he's got plenty of space either side. Now, there was a bit of a clip on the grass from Evil Steve there that may give TK the chance to power it down the home stretch. We'll see if they can get it done here.
Jock James has let Cookie through, which is why we saw the Alpha Tauri going a little bit slowly there. But we'll go back to have a look at TK. "17-lap-old medium tyres. These things, realistically, are going to go about 21 laps.
October 4th round in the same spot Nerdy was coming up the hill from turn 2 into 3.
Oh, that was a less than stellar rejoin from the racing point, reversing clean across the circuit there.
Indeed.
Cookie and Mahoney fighting in the background, but that does TK a little bit of a favour if he can clear Evil Steel. But 9.6 seconds now, the gap.
And Hercules is catching every lap that this goes on. Not enough, thankfully not enough to put October 4th out and bring in a safety car. I'm sure a few drivers will be hoping for that, but we'll see what does happen. There's another yellow flag in Sector 2, I think.
It's October struggling back.
Struggling to get back here.
Here's TK right up behind Evil Steel now.
And slow on the acceleration again there. Just not wanting to make the move. See if he makes it here though on the run up to turn 2.
Yeah, that's looking clean. That's looking like this will be the time. The TK makes the pass on Evil Steel. Good defense from the Red Bull. Hopefully from his point of view he didn't lose too much time. And the Hercules right amongst it already.
Hercules will be hoping to get past Evil Steel quicker than TK to take full advantage of that time lost.
Ice Kid Man now 10.7 seconds clear at the front, which is probably as big a gap for the lead as we've seen for anyone, except maybe Homosep in Baku, which was a complete chaos race.
Indeed. Ice Kid Man showing that phenomenal pace that they have. Hercules making the move on Evil Steel going into turn 8.
That's a brave one. Evil Steel sticking it out around the outside. Little bit of wheel-to-wheel banging there, but Hercules realising that he had to be aggressive there and getting the job done against the Red Bull. Will Evil Steel fight this one back? DRS open on the main straight, going to the inside. It's not really his fight, this one. Evil Steel still looking for his first points this season and deciding the sensible thing to do is to let these guys go and just focus on maximising his own race pace. He's having a very good race, Evil Steel.
Indeed. You want to see this carried on into the pits and into the points for Evil Steel, indeed. We've got Hercules clawing up the gap between himself and T-Keg down to point 3.
This looking like a scrap all the way, and of course Hercules on those fresher medium tyres at this stage of the race. He'll need to get past him now before we see that switch over from the medium being the better tyre to the hard being the better tyre at the end due to the increased shelf life.
Indeed, but we have seen Hercules is not afraid to make that more aggressive overtake compared to T-Keg, so we'll see if he's going to be able to do it. Has to watch a lot of these corner cuts and wides just to make sure he doesn't pick up any unnecessary penalties.
Ice Kid Man has checked out. This Williams can afford to play it safe, can afford to make sure he doesn't pick up any track limits penalties. And it is looking like the second win in a row for Ice Kid Man, who is really finding his form all of a sudden.
Hercules again looking to make the cut. He will get DRS here on TK. Oh, with a bit of a shake though. That's where we've seen a few cars lose it right before that DRS zone. And Hercules has lost about half a second there.
Yep, I don't think it'll cost him too badly. He'll be able to make that back up. But again, he's on one lap fresher mediums, I should say, than TK has hards. And at this stage, those mediums are the much better tire to be on. But it's what happens in 10 laps' time that might dictate how this fight ends.
Indeed, indeed. And Mahoney, also just a bit further back on the hard tyres, is going to look to try and get himself into that top 5 based on that. But he's still going to have a bit of time to catch up. So, see how Mahoney gets on during this race. If he keeps it clean, gets the job done.
It's a big fight here between Daft and Jock James. Oh, a 5-second penalty for Evil Steel, who speeds in the pit lane. Oh, no. Going to the soft tyres. Such a frustrating penalty to pick up 5 seconds there. But Evil Steel will be racy in the last part of this race. We'll hope to clear Jock James and Arif, who we can see coming through now. That might be a close run thing as these guys come through turn 1. Evil Steel there. Oh, we ran a little bit wide and he's lost out to both Jock James and Arif, but he should, with the fresher tyres, be able to clear both of those cars.
It will be interesting going on to softs this early. 14 laps on those soft tyres. They may drop just near the end.
I'd say that's about the right amount of time. I did something similar in my race, and even though it started right and they were okay, and you can see the advantage that Evil Steel has already. He's going to try and make 2 overtakes at once, and all the braking markers are gone.
Wow. I didn't know those markers were optional.
He's got so much more grip, and he's just driven straight past Jock James. Contact there! And Jock James getting a 3-second time penalty for leaving the circuit for an incident that wasn't his fault.
Wow.
There's wing damage as well.
That is massive to Jock's race there. Unfortunately, damage on through no fault. And Hercules has overtaken TK going into turn 2. Just to take us back to the front. Hercules has made the overtake.
Yeah, TK looking to fight back as they come down the straight. The hard tyres won't be lacking that much grip, so he should be able to fight this back. But Hercules has got that move done while we were watching the fight in the midfield. Apologies for missing the build-up to that. But Hercules now needs to gain as much time as he possibly can while he's got the better tyres. Jock James now pitting for the softs. Those hards were done. That strategy of trying to run them for the whole race, if that was indeed the plan, not working out at all.
Got Ice Kid Man coming round just as Jock James is coming out the pit, so shouldn't be any issues here whatsoever as Ice Kid Man is getting close to the back markers.
But to be fair, you would expect Jock James to have more pace and actually drive away from Ice Kid Man on fresh softs compared to those older hard tyres. So if I'm Ice Kid Man, I've got such a lead. I don't even go near the AlphaTauri, just let it go.
Indeed, indeed.
Look at the gap that Hercules has built up here.
11 seconds on top to catch down. Oh, Hercules slapping it again there. TK's going to overtake him. If he gets the foot down, he's got DRS, but Hercules on those mediums holding the position. There is a big issue for Hercules at the moment coming out of turn 2, getting that car straight and away. It's been a few laps now that he's had a bit of a shake there, and we've seen other drivers like Knurdy going off and having a spin right at that point.
Dan Gilligan making a move on Daft. He's on much fresher tyres and getting that move done around the outside nice and clean. But this fight for P2 is setting up to be an absolute cracker towards the end of this one. Hercules ahead for now, but can TK pull it back the further this race goes on?
And Mahoney gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings, so possibly just a bit of corner cutting there.
We'll have a look at the time penalty situation now. Carter with 3 seconds, Mahoney with 3 seconds, Evil Steel with 8, and Dan Gilligan with 6 of those drivers in the points. And then a few more penalties just outside the points paying positions. TK and Hercules continuing to go toe-to-toe. And a 3-second... Oh, incident for Cookie in the pits. Well, I thought it was Cookie off the road. Cookie actually pitting for the soft tyres. And an opportunity here. Cookie will come out in P10 for AlphaTauri. And an opportunity to set about trying to catch Daft and score some points for the first time, I believe, since Baku it would be for Cookie. He's had a couple of difficult races.
T-Keg is lining up Hercules again here, trying to take advantage are the better wear perhaps now on those hard tyres getting into the groove. Hercules struggled a bit through turn 3 and 4, but has really put on the power through 5 and 6 and stretched out another bit of gap. Hercules really shown that pace that they can bring out when needed.
Ice Kid Man almost reaching the stage of being able to take an additional pit stop and go for the fastest lap. He is miles clear.
That says it all, really. I think if you've got a driver in first, it's potentially a full pit stop ahead of the others. Roy Weller is round again at that turn after 2. Roy Weller has spun round again. It's really not his day, and I don't know what it is about that spot on turn 2. I don't know if it's a troublesome spot for the guys without traction control on, but it's not the first time we've seen that.
TK with a poor exit from turn 2, just as you say that, Nuggets. It is getting tricky, and it is beginning to cloud over again. The fight we're looking at now, kind of the only real fight on the circuit at this stage of the race. The field are quite spread out, which is unusual for Division 5, but maybe it's safer this way.
You mean the further they are from each other, the less harm they'll do to each other? I don't think that would stop them hurting themselves somehow.
Evil Steel in P7. Remember, this Red Bull has not scored any points this season. Currently in P7 and chasing down Mahoney, who's on much older hard tyres. The Red Bull should be able to make that move stick. Just needs to make sure that we keep it clean, and then he can set about trying to catch. There's a long way up the road to Van on base, who is probably having the quietest race of all in P5.
Definitely, but we know that turn 2 is proving a bit of trickiness. I don't think Evil Steel's going to make the overtake here. I have to wait and set it up for another lap.
I think it was a mistake from Jock James there, which has cost him a place to Oktoberfoth, but we can see Evil Steel now coming up behind Mahoney as they go up the hill. He's got overtake firing. He's got the DRS open. He's going to go at the outside. Mahoney's run that very, very wide. He's off the circuit, and Evil Steel's going to get that move done surely. Too late on the brakes with the Mercedes, and Evil Steel able to complete the switch back, and that was a nice clean move from the Red Bull driver.
Indeed. Mahoney and that Mercedes making it a bit easy for them to get through, going a bit wide there. On board at the moment just with Kana, going through very well so far, 13 laps in at these hard tyres. We would imagine that you'll see them to the end, and a very strong 4th place at the moment if they were to do so. We've got a nice 5-6 seconds to Van on base behind them, and probably about 2 seconds to TK in front, which they might even be able to catch up.
Big fight here between Oktoberfoth and Jock James. Jock James on the much better tyres here. Fresh soft compared to, I'd say, midlife hard tyres. He's gone 7 laps on them things. Good fight brewing. Ice Kid Man just doing the right thing, sitting behind and still increasing that lead now, 14.8 seconds. Hercules has dropped TK out of DRS range.
Issue in Sector 3, we've got as an AlphaTauri the wrong way. It's Iana, I believe.
It is, yeah, just recovering to the circuit, and that'll allow Dukes making his debut to come through into P12.
Dukes did have one race in Division 3 at Bahrain last week before settling himself into Division 5. So another big welcome to Division 5 for Dukes. On board with Evil Steel, who is looking to claw up that 6-second gap between themselves and Van on base. 5-lap old tyres will be taking it to about 14 in total by the end of this race. Not sure if it's a few drops of rain or it's just a bit overcast, but we will see how things go here.
Rain would really spice things up here. Speaking of spice, Jock James is wide, and that will allow Ice Kid Man to go through. And a big contact there. We can see the incident between Oktoberfoth and the Iona 5. Virtual safety car is deployed.
Oh, now this could be big. Now, do you pit if you're anyone here? Oh, and Roy Weller's off again, just on board. He looked like he was making plenty of space for Hercules, to be fair to Roy Weller there. So good on Roy there. Not having the best of lap, but showing a lot of respect to the other drivers coming through.
Yeah, a few mistakes here. I don't think I can see any spots of rain at this point. It is cloudy. Virtual safety car is still in effect. And we've got Cookie here just behind Daft on the circuit. Dan Gilligan is right behind Mahoney just up the road. We've got just over 5 laps, in fact 6 laps to go. Ice Kid Man has just started lap 30. Drive-through penalty for Mahoney for speeding under the virtual safety car. Oh no!
And that's not what you want to see there.
And a
from
penalty
Mahoney.
for T-Keg as well. Is that a corner cutting penalty? It's 3 seconds, so it's not a drive-through. Mahoney serving that penalty straight away. And a disaster for the Mercedes there. Allows Dan Gilligan
will be able to get on soft tyres though, and hopefully get out and catch up any positions he's lost, because he does have a wee bit of time to do so with the last 6 laps. So we'll see if he can get any of those positions back.
Look how much time T-Keg lost under the virtual safety car. He was a second and a half behind. He's now 3.2 seconds behind Hercules. And a big cushion now for the Racing Point driver in second position.
Big shout out as well to Dan Gilligan, who has also been one of these silent, sneaky drivers, making his way through up into 7th after a bit of the troublesome starts that he's had of late.
Cookie drives straight around the outside of Daft and up into P8. These soft tyres in the latter stage of the race are so much grippier compared to those on the mediums and hards. Of course, the shame for the guys who were on those fresh soft tyres that wasn't a full safety car to bring them back into play. But the one man very, very happy about that is this man, Ice Kid Man, who continues to lead this Austrian Grand Prix, and it is the very definition of plain sailing.
Indeed, Ice Kid Man just leagues ahead of the rest, it appears, on those hard tyres as well.
Mahoney's come out of the pits in P10. Of course, the drive-through penalty means you can't stop for fresh tyres. So Mahoney now in the last points-paying position. Dukes is actually in P11 for Red Bull. And with Mahoney having some penalties up the road ahead of him, there's an opportunity here for Dukes to nick a point. There's around 4 seconds to make up as the Red Bull driver. But Mahoney does have 3 seconds of corner-cutting penalties to his name. So we'll see if Dukes can do anything about that. And Nordy sets the fastest lap of the race for McLaren, but currently outside of the points, so that would count for nothing.
Oh, and we've got Cookie round the wrong way. Cookie just not sure what looked like happened there, but it was on the corner of turn.
Safety car, full safety car deployed on lap 32.
Oh, here we go, folks.
Well, what do you do? Can you afford a pit stop? Ice Kid Man's on 17-lap-old hard tyres. Surely that lead is enough to get him into the pits and out again, ahead of Hercules. A 3-second penalty for Van on base. This is going to really spice up the end of this Division 5 race.
I think you go softs and you go full force for the last couple of laps.
There's going to be about 2 laps left by the time the safety car comes in. It is going to be a mad dash to the finish.
Exactly.
I genuinely think that this is about the latest point in the session that a safety car could have been called. He has come into the pits.
Ice Kid Man has came in for tyres.
Now, Hercules, at the back end of the circuit. Does he pit? Does he stay out?
No, you stay out. If you're Hercules, you stay out for first place and go for it.
He is going to stay out, but will he get out ahead of Ice Kid Man? He's currently in the pit lane. Changing onto the medium tyres, not the softs. Hercules coming down the main straight now. And I think the Williams garage is at the end, of course. Ice Kid Man there behind the Red Bull. Hercules coming round. It's so close. Hercules takes the lead.
He's got it. He's got it. Oh. He's got it. Hercules. Now, of course, Ice Kid Man started on the softs and went to the hards, so did not have a choice about the mediums, I believe.
So Hercules has the lead of this race, but he's on 16-lap-old medium tyres. Ice Kid Man is on the fresh tyres.
On cold fresher. Big decision why, sorry, I made a mistake. The Ice Kid Man could have went back onto the softs, having done 2 tyres. Why not? And perhaps they didn't get the chance to tell the pit crew to put on the softs.
Drama. Rub your hands together.
Evil Steel, potentially, well, he does have time penalties, potentially can make a jump if he gets close enough to the sum of the group. Well, same with Dan Gilligan.
Mahoney is pitted, so Mahoney is going to be on fresh softs, as is Cookie, as is Dukes, when we get this underway. Nordy's now up in the points. Daft is in a very strong position because he doesn't have any time penalties. Evil Steel has 8 seconds, Dan Gilligan has 6, and that's a real disaster for Evil Steel. Because with 8 seconds of penalties, it's going to be so hard for him to hang on to a points-paying position.
Indeed. Also, just the fact here that we do have T-Keg sitting in third, does have penalties as well. So it really is between Hercules and Ice Kid Man here. Who's going to put it down? Will Ice Kid Man's tyres get heated up enough so that when the safety car comes in, he can get away? But they are so close together. So you don't want to see what we've seen a few times is a bad safety car restart. Jock James getting 5 seconds.
Oh, Jock James has just overtaken the safety car. I assume there's an issue there. Yeah, he's been disqualified from the session. I assume that's a safety car bug.
Kind of off from turn 1, just going nice and slow.
It just never fails to go wrong for Jock. It never fails to go wrong.
I'm going to have to stop saying that I hope he does well, because then he might actually do well.
I think the safety car will come in this lap, which I think will give us 2 laps to go in this Austrian Grand Prix. There is going to be so much for me to try and keep an eye on here. So much.
The issue is as well, if it does come in, Cookie picked up some time penalties. If it does come in, Hercules is very close to the back of it. We've seen issues here. There's not, unlike the last safety car where we saw Ice Kid Man put a big gap between him and that safety car. Safety car in this lap.
Well. Remember, we have got drivers at the front who are on old, worn tyres. We've got drivers at the back who are on fresh, soft tyres. It is a recipe for action, drama, and potentially disaster here in Division 5. Hercules.
I am on board with 7th place Daniel Gilligan. If you want to show the chat a bit further up, perhaps T-Keg's view, the front 2 getting away, we'll try and catch as much of this as possible for them.
Here we go. Hercules leads the pack. It's all bunched up. Ice Kid Man right up behind him on those fresh medium tyres. Hercules on 17 lap old medium tyres, but he has 2 laps to hang on to win the Austrian Grand Prix, and Ice Kid Man is alongside him already as they go up the hill towards turn 1. The Williams have got so much more grip, thinking better of it now, and we've got cars in the background alongside each other as well. Ice Kid Man is going to take the lead of this race, surely. Corner is off! Corner is off, and he's ghosted, thankfully, or there would have been a huge incident there, but up at the front, Ice Kid Man takes the lead of the Austrian Grand Prix. He just had too much grip compared to those around him. In the midfield, Dan Gilligan now up to P6.
Slapping that ass. Evil Steel's going to get a jump through in between.
Oh, Dan Gilligan's round. He's not come up the hill. He's made a mistake, and Dan Gilligan losing out in the midfield. Meanwhile, Evil Steel is now 4th. T-Keg is right up behind one of the racing points. He's up behind Hercules. Daft is getting involved as well. Daft actually on the soft tyres now. He's got so much more pace than Van on base. Ice Kid Man leads and is going to win this race, barring a disaster. 3-second time penalty for Dukes is a disaster for him. It's all kicking off here behind the main part of the action. We've got Oktoberfoff a lap down, ghosting around inside Daft. Lap 36 out of 36 of the Austrian Grand Prix. Ice Kid Man in the lead at the front, and Nordy and Cookie alongside each other as we go up into turn 1.
We have T-Keg as well hunting down the Hercules. Now we've seen Hercules struggle several times coming up to this turn 2, pulling away from it without shaking that car. This is the most important one of his life if he's going to get points here.
Dan Gilligan has left the session. Dan Gilligan is now out of this race. Daft is just going to drive straight past Van on base. He's got so much more grip. And Daft, remember, doesn't have any time penalties. The Haas is on the verge of a podium here.
He's not getting it for easy though. He's being made to work for it from Van on base.
Here's T-Keg looking to the inside of Hercules on the last lap of the race.
Oh, and Hercules just holding it. Can he hold it for the last few corners? T-Keg has to be brave here if he wants second place.
We've got a couple of lap cars in the way. We've got a Hercules and T-Keg fighting to the line, but coming out of the final corner is Ice Kid Man for Williams, who wins the Austrian Grand Prix by 3.5 seconds. Hercules is just going to beat T-Keg to the line. Evil Steel comes home. We got to wait for the penalties to play out. Now Daft finishes 3rd.
Evil Steel unserved penalty drops him right back down to 9th.
Daft finishes 3rd for Haas. It's a podium for the Haas driver. He gets it ahead of T-Keg, who somehow contrives to finish as 4th again. Man on base is 5th. Cookie 6th. Nordy 7th.
Wow.
And Evil Steel does get his first points of the season in P9. It's a win for Ice Kid Man. Daft out of nowhere.
Just wow. Wow, Division 5, when we think it's all set and done, find a way to keep it entertaining, don't they?
Daniel Gilligan's AI somehow finished 10th. I think that sums it all up.
Do we give the points to the AI then, or Dan Gilligan?
Well, Dan Gilligan's only got 1 point.
Technically, the AI finished the race, that's all I'm saying.
Ice Kid Man wins from Hercules and Daft. Who saw that coming? Daft finishes 3rd for Haas. Look at all the penalties and the safety car with a massive effect on this race.
Daft starting 15th. 15th. Van Ombase 13th, making it into 3rd and 5th respectively. There's some phenomenal driving.
What a race. Won, deservingly, you would say, by Ice Kid Man today, who was really the class of the field here in Austria. Hercules and Daft rounding out the podium. And TK somehow just keeps finishing 4th. He's the same as me in Division 6. He just keeps finishing in the same position.
Unbelievable. Kana as well, all the way to the last lap in those top point positions, and then just sadly lost it round the turn 1 into turn 2. Another driver like Jock James that just never seems to get the break.
Oh, Kana, the heartbreak.
Can't take it. Can't take it.
Oh, what can you say? Evil Steel does get his first point of the season. Obviously, there'll be a couple of potential stewards inquiries. There was an incident with Jock James where they made contact going into turn 6.
Of the DRS and distance boards.
I mean, just a shout out to Daft. Out of nowhere, a podium. And that is the benefit of keeping it clean, not getting track limits penalties, and then the late safety car and the decision to go with the soft tyres just so paying off for Daft. What an end to that.
In the excellent position to take full advantage from that indeed. Great race from Daft and extremely well-deserved points there.
Oh, man. Take a breath. Once again, Division 5's done. We've only got 5 to go, and I'm somewhat sad about that.
Well, for this season at least. Do you think they'll want us back next season if this is the sort of division carnage that we end up casting?
God, maybe. Maybe not. Hard to say.
We might be banned from casting for all the cursing that goes on.
So, on the serious point of discussion, the championship, Ice Kid Man now takes the lead of the championship, even from King Bart, who of course hasn't raced for the past 4 races here.
Yes.
But TK in the end, dropping to P4, meaning that Ice Kid Man actually gains a full 12 points, I think. No, 14 points. So he leads the championship by 13 points if my mental maths is right. And he's been bang on form in these last 2 races.
He has indeed. He's shown, well, kind of the pace that King Bart used to show in the early part of the season. Very fast, very consistent, very good qualifier. All leads for a very good podium finish, it appears.
TK, he's always there, and he's always looking like he's going to win or finish on the podium, and somehow just finishes 4th. It's bizarre. It's bizarre.
I must say, T-Keg and Hercules' battles over the last few weeks have been amazing. I know they've both been fighting for 2nd and 3rd place normally behind Ice Kid Man, but the way they go about it, I don't think we've ever had an issue with contact between the pair of them. It's always been tough, hard, fast, close racing, which has been really enjoyable to watch as well. And then we get drivers like Daft that just, everything goes perfect. The pit, the tyres, and then to get that safety car to put them in position and then capitalise on it was fantastic as well.
Oh, man, that was a treat. A real treat. And again, much like it was in Bahrain, you pity the man who has to put together a 60-second highlight video of that ahead of the race next week.
Indeed. But I'm sure you will still somehow manage to make it, and it will look amazing as always, Harringzord.
In a week's time, it is Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium, and what a racetrack that is. I am very, very excited to see this lot take to that Spa circuit. Up through Eau Rouge and down the Camel Straight, it is probably going to be 2 wide, 3 wide, and all sorts of things flying off all sorts of cars. I am excited.
Certainly going to be exciting indeed. And of course, to everybody in chat sticking with us, cheering on the drivers, some great cheering on there. I am Asteria Soul praying for a Canna curse not to happen. We thought it was going to be the first time that it didn't, and then I feel that Harringzord should totally take the blame for that, so you don't get mad at me for it.
When Kana, I say when Kana, eventually scores some points, and it will happen. I know it'll happen. That was such a strong race from the Renault driver. And so on. If that safety car hadn't happened, that was a P4 or P5. Easy. And just the pressure of the safety car restart, just that mistake at turn 1. And it's like that. It can undo 33 laps of excellent work. But when those points come, we're all getting drunk.
That's fine. Asteria today blames Canna, not us. So
and you watching as well, you audience member, you're getting drunk as well. We're all getting drunk when this happens.
Because we need an excuse. But yes, that was one hell of a race. Phenomenal. The drivers jumping in, I see Van on base jumping in and that stuff. Great driving by you all. Hope to see you all back again for, as you said, Harringzord, Spa next week before the break again.
Indeed. Division 5, you are all absolutely brilliant. Just so much fun. And such a good bunch as well. It's been really, really good fun. We've landed on a treat getting this division.
Especially that, and the chat as well, who get fully involved, whether they're coming from Elliot's race before us or join us straight from the beginning, whether they're cheering on Canna or Hercules or their own constructors. It's great to see in chat as well.
Lots to digest, lots to pick apart from that one.
And only 7 days until we do it all over again.
I cannot wait. We will see you in a week's time, everyone, when FRS moves on to round 8 in Spa-Francorchamps. We'll catch you in a week's time.
Goodbye.